What's up, friends? Happy Monday. Welcome into Attacking Third, presented by CarMax, the way car buying should be. Lisa Carlin is out, and we needed 2 people to replace her because we've got a distant 4 today for the show. Darian Jenkins, Christine Cupo, Aaron West. I'm Aly Trost-Martin. Happy Labor Day. Happy September, everybody.
Crazy.
I feel like 3 of us are giving fall vibes, and then Christine's like... Oh, that was so cute.
I don't know, today
I'm loving the fit.
I think it's the September, first day of school vibes. I don't know why I woke up this morning and was like, my fit has to be on point today.
You get up to sharpen your pencil.
Right, yeah. Click. Yeah, I'm like, did anybody see my hair, my earrings? How about my shoes? Yes.
Can Christine show it off? You've got such a great fit on today. We need an NWSL
let's see if
Show the fit.
Show the fit. I'm like, which way do I have to go? This way, I guess?
I think this way.
Hang on. I think Coco Roadshow will have a absolutely canary.
Ooh.
But
yes, ma'am. Work it. Oh, we got
with the lights.
going.
I've got my flowers here.
This is an NWSL arrival if I've ever seen
Right?
one.
I'm like, I need a ball, though.
This is incredible.
With the
Thank you.
heels on? Wow. Bravo. That pencil's going to be a nub by the end of this whole day. Sharpening that thing, trying to get the fit.
I'm going to be doing
in front of
unscheduled
everybody.
tacticals all of a sudden.
I love it.
Gotta love it.
Sarah Gordon, by the way, delivered with her fit. And then also looked like, have you ever seen those memes where a kindergartner in their before school picture, but then at the end of the day, they look beat up? This is Sarah Gordon walking into the match, serving, and then, oh, by the way,
Getting a Georgia Achilles
gets a laceration to the eyebrow, is able to go back in the game, and then still
cute,
serving.
though.
But also, face card,
Yeah,
limitless.
done.
Love that.
Done. Dee, have you ever had a moment in a game where you had to get head wrapped like that to go back in?
Yes. I didn't get stitches, but I've been elbowed in the face. You know when you get a knot?
Yes.
And it just swells up and you have a nub?
Goose
The old egg. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 times right here it's happened.
Love that.
Yep, and then it just drains down into the rest of it.
Were they
It's not
giants
cute. I
swinging
didn't look
elbows?
like Sarah Gordon.
You're a tall lady.
I don't know. I think it happened on corners or something.
Okay. So somebody else was flying in.
Yeah, someone else jumped and.
I'm like, how, man? My best I could do is hit you in the kneecap.
Not everybody's 5'4".
Well, just imagine if you were 5'2", okay? How about we leave that one there?
5'4" got moxie.
This NWSL weekend, y'all, had a little bit of everything, though. We had weather delays. We had an ungodly amount of stoppage time. We had records broken. We had also a backwards brace. I'll tell you what that means later on as we get through some of these recaps.
Trademarked.
And one of those records was Orlando remaining unbeaten, going all the way to last season as well. They do it at home 2-0 against Gotham. I mean, grass is green, sky is blue. Orlando are just remaining dominant as we take a look at all of the weekend results. And it was a fun one in the NWSL. The Courage getting a 2-1 win over the KC Current, who now winless in 3 games after going unbeaten in 15. What is going on? The action wrapped up with a 1-1 draw between San Diego and Washington Spirit. And how about this? Bay FC, a 3-1 win against the Portland Thorns. Stock going up. Portland, some question marks. And Angel City getting a 2-1 win over Chicago. Alyssa Thompson now with 3 goals in 2 games as she's heating up on the season. We got to talk Orlando and Gotham because, Darian, this was one of the weather delay games. You know this all too well, unfortunately.
Oh my God. I thought I escaped it retiring, but now I'm in the TV space and you suffer just as bad.
As a broadcaster,
Yes.
yeah. But for Gotham, it's already a difficult place to play on the road, right? Mm-hmm. Against a team that hasn't lost a game yet this season. You factor in the crowd in Orlando, the humidity, and then, oh, by the way, a rain delay. How do you think that impacted a game that, let's be honest, Gotham just didn't really look like themselves?
It takes away your energy, and a rain delay like that. I mean, think about the preparation you do to get into a game. You have your specific meal plan, you have your nap time, you have your recovery time, you're doing all of your activation, you're meditating to get into a space to start warm up at a specific time. All of that's thrown off kilter, and you're waiting every 10 minutes to see where the next thunder strike is, or lightning strike is. If the field is flooded, how much time that takes. It's a lot of energy to try to manage in yourself, and I think Gotham absolutely suffered going to Orlando. I mean, the humidity out Orlando is such an advantage if you're the home team there. I can tell you just from playing there, you have to get used to just pouring sweat. You have nothing left in your tank, and I think Gotham started the game off looking like they didn't have much in their tank. They had a couple moments where, yes, they looked dangerous. Yasmin Ryan had some 1v1s, but I mean, most of them going over the crossbar. Katie Sting, I think this is one of their few shots on target that they had. They just didn't have much, and it looked a little uninspiring, and Orlando just were ready to weather the storm and come out and take a win. You never had a doubt that Orlando weren't going to win this game.
Literally weathered the storm. Yeah. But Aaron, for Gotham, it's always a situation where you're going to have those lessons learned when you're able to look back. What do you think those are going to be for Gotham from this game?
Yeah, I think number one, I think we have given them the credit, and we will continue to give them the credit. But this Orlando team is set up so well. They're coached so well. We've talked ad nauseum about how their entire setup, but playing at home, they were just about perfect. But this Gotham team, I think early on, they gave the ball away way too easily. They were very careless in possession. Again, I think to Darian's point, that goes to the mental preparation, having to sit around. You may not be as sharp mentally and physically as you were. I think Orlando's game plan was very, very well set up to pressure Gotham into making those mistakes. And then Orlando were fantastic in taking advantage of the mistakes. And you saw a couple uncharacteristic, again, mistakes, losing the ball in midfield. And Katzenberger almost has been perfect this season. Probably shouldn't have come out on the punch where Rajana scored. Just here and there, you saw careless giveaways, careless mental lapses, and Orlando is a team that will always take advantage of those. And it happens a couple times, and you get punished a couple times.
And Orlando forces those with the pressure that they bring to Christine.
Absolutely. I mean, they're unrelenting. It's interesting because Gotham and Orlando are very fairly well matched. And in this instance, like the defense just wasn't there for Gotham like it usually is. But it also bears mentioning, I think that, like, obviously it's whatever team shows up on the given day, which we've seen them be able to steer through challenges. But I really think that the weather delay was one of the significant tipping points because Gotham have never lost to Orlando at home. Against them. So since 2019.
Wow.
So that's been a heck of a streak for them to suddenly bring to an end here. I mean, obviously record-breaking season for Orlando, but Gotham too.
19 unbeaten for Orlando. Absolutely bonkers. But another team that may have been impacted by a weather delay was the Kansas City Current, whose match against North Carolina got called into a weather delay at the 83rd minute. It was tied up at 1 apiece at this point, and then it was North Carolina able to come out and get the win. And Dee, you may have some apologizing to do to Sean Nahas.
Where's my camera? Sean, I want to personally apologize for ever doubting the North Carolina Courage. I think I've done it 2 or 3 times now, but I want to personally apologize. You proved me wrong. I got a text from him after our show last Thursday, like, you're killing me, Dee. You proved me right. I'm eating my words. Congratulations on the win. No, North Carolina is a relentless team, and when they are playing together, yes, they had the mistake. Malia Berkeley not getting rid of the ball soon enough, and cheat code Chewinga getting on the end of it. But then you have players like Courtney Vine making such a great start with North Carolina. And then Brianna Pinto, how many goals has she scored like this late for North Carolina, where she gives them the win with these bangers, the hold-up play, getting her defender off of her, high-low, and then sending this far post. I think this was absolutely brilliant. It just showed the Courage have that fight. They're not done. Yes, they've had a difficult season, having more losses than we're used to seeing, but they've got that dog in them.
Maybe you're actually doing some sort of reverse psychology. Maybe that's the reframing of this.
No, Darian,
you're not actually like negging them, you're actually just spurning them on.
It's that bulletin board material. Darian Jenkins' face is on a fat head in the North Carolina locker room.
Everybody slaps it as they walk into the game. Please don't do that.
Please, social team. North Carolina social team, please.
I love that.
But Aaron, where are the concerns right now for Kansas City? Because 3 straight games where they're not picking up points, and it's not looking good.
It's very un-Vlatko-like for a team to not defend well, to me.
Yes.
And this Kansas City team defends very, very poorly. They are all out attack. They leave a lot of gaps in the back. They make a lot of mistakes defensively, and to me, it's weird. It's weird because my wife has played for Vlatko. I've seen how he coaches his teams, and this is really, really atypical for a Kansas City team, for this team, to defend as poorly as they do. And I know they're committed to scoring goals, and they have an incredible attack, but they have to tighten it up defensively.
Christine, is it too soon to say that we need to maybe rethink how we've talked about Kansas City?
I don't know. I feel like now 3 losses in a row deep, they're not nearly as scary a giant as they were in the beginning of the season. Like, I think we all had compared them pretty steadfastly to Orlando because they seem to be that formidable, but they haven't repaired the defensive just Achilles heel that they have. And now we've seen AD shifted for Schultz, and I don't know if that's repairing the issue. I don't know. You need to address the defensive issues eventually, and I feel like they've just waited way too long into the season to do that.
Dee, what does that do for a team when a goalkeeper change is made like that? Like, how is that received by the players within the group?
Well, I'll say when anyone's, especially a goalkeeper, that's a position typically that doesn't change. It can affect, especially the relationship with the back line defensively. It's a statement. It's a big choice. It's not quiet. So I think that was a way that they're trying to affect change because AD has had her mishaps during the run of play. Maybe it's the difference in playing out of the back that's the asset with Schultz versus AD. I'm not sure. But those relationships that AD has had to build with the players in the back line changes a lot when you bring in a new goalkeeper. For me, it's grabbing at straws. I think that tactically, Kansas City is in that modified 3-back where they're very open, they're very expansive. And we've seen it all season long. We've joked numerous times on the show, yes, Kansas City is going to let you score, but they're going to outscore you. Now teams, I think, have locked in on Chewinga, on how they're able to score goals in transition and locked them out because that style hasn't changed in their attack, but defensively that also hasn't changed and teams know how to break them down.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, especially since they do like to play in that like final third. That central channel is like where a lot of their goals come from, just the feeding of Chewinga. So for North Carolina, a team that does like to play pretty compactly, although we're seeing a little bit more with Courtney Vine now in the attack, they're able to close them down. So it's kind of like they're found out.
It's crazy, too, because Chewinga is still scoring. She broke a record this weekend. She's now scored in 7 consecutive matches, but not enough for Kansas City, who aren't seeing the same output of goals despite being able to still find production through a player like Timwa Chewinga. I mean, also the rain, you called it biblical a little bit. It really did feel like
I love people getting a little taste of how ridiculous North Carolina weather can be.
I have no idea.
You get a little sun shower, you get a downpour.
Those rain delays are crazy. It'll hail out of nowhere, and then it's like perfect, beautiful sunset. And you're like, what the hell? I've never heard hail, rain.
What are you doing?
It went from like bright sunny, and then all of a sudden I just was like mouth open, like what is happening?
Yeah,
like it looks like golf balls are falling from the sky. Are you okay, North Carolina?
No, we're not.
Another thing to point out about Kansas City's losses, their 3 straight now, have all come against teams towards the top of the table. You've got first place Orlando, now second place Washington Spirit, and then North Carolina, who are sitting in 5th place. So those are the teams that you want to get those statement results against. And for Kansas City, they want to be competing with those teams come playoff time. So that's definitely going to be something that they're going to have their eye on as they face a few more of those above the playoff line teams down the stretch here in the season. Another matchup to chat on before we close out our first segment of the show, San Diego, Washington Spirit. This one ended in a 1-1 draw. It was the first result for Landon Donovan as the new head coach for the San Diego Wave, the Washington Spirit, getting a point on the road. And we saw in this game what I have dubbed as a backwards brace. And that is because Kristen McNabb scored both goals in this game. And of course, if you score 2 goals for each team, that is so unfortunate.
They legitimately do not come more unfortunate to this. Look at this. She can't do anything. She gets smashed in the face.
The way I would have called the handball on myself, I would be like, it's a handball.
Like, ref,
handball. Like,
just a double whammy.
It's tough. Yeah,
right
it's
there.
Really tough.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal. I mean, mentally having to steer out of that.
But credit to Kristen McNabb for being able to then come back and score the equalizing goal after scoring the own goal in the first half against her own team. But for San Diego, I think one of the question marks around this team right now has just been, where are they going? What is the direction of this team? They fired Casey Stoney.
I don't even think they know. I don't think they know.
As a player, what is that like, being on a team where the direction doesn't seem to be all that clear?
You just have to focus on what you can control, which is what you're putting out on the field, showing up to training as prepared as you can be, trying to buy in and understand your new coach's principles. But this late in the season and then having a new coach that's saying, I want to throw everything around. I want to totally change up the style of play is a little concerning to me. Why don't you go back to really basic principles of what made San Diego so good? Let's be direct. Let's use Alex Morgan's hold-up play. Let's have people go 1v1 on the sides of her. And let's try to win some games and score some goals because that's what they need. And I think we're seeing even the defending there, it's just mayhem and they can't overcome it. And I wish they could because they're not a bad team.
I feel like you had said last week, and it stuck with me, that like what we saw when San Diego sort of started to fray a little bit with Casey Stoney was that there were like, you could see there's too many ideas and like the implementation just wasn't there.
I was saying that with Landon Donovan.
Right, with Landon Donovan.
Too many principles within 1 week of coaching and it looked confusing.
Where it's like, hey, let's everybody throw something in the pot and see what happens. And you're like, no, the ice cream doesn't belong there with the fried chicken maybe. Like maybe we don't throw everything in the pot.
That actually kind of sounds good to me.
Aaron and I both live.
Would you have ice cream? Would you have an ice cream fried chicken sandwich? Do you think?
Sandwich is crazy.
Okay. Well,
sandwich is crazy.
Never mind.
But maybe they could go on the same plate.
On the same plate. That's fair. That's fair. All right. Well, we're gonna chat more about our weird food takes, and when we come back, we're gonna talk more about the NWSL weekend as a whole. Stay with us. Hey, welcome back to Attacking Third. Continuing our chat about the NWSL weekend. It was a big one, especially if you're Bay FC getting a huge win over the Portland Thorns. They now jump into a playoff spot, sitting in 8th place. And it has been quite a yo-yo of a season, I guess you could say, for Bay FC. But this win was a good performance, Dee.
It was a great performance. I would say the yo-yo has sat a little stagnant. Hasn't been flicked up yet. I don't know the terms for yo-yoing. Sorry, I should have done some research. But yeah, this is a huge win for Bay. I mean, Abby Dahlkemper, go Bruins, coming in, making a statement, getting a goal, back-to-back games with 2 different teams was, I mean, very impressive. But look at the sights from this match. I think Bay are finally putting together the identity that they want defensively and in the attack, because that has just not been fluid enough this season. I think teams have fully taken advantage of. Clearly, they're focusing on defending this game. Mm-hmm. Clearly, they're focusing on attacking this game, and it hasn't come together yet. It finally has, and it was poetic. I think this was a really good win for them to make a push.
But for a team that's still trying to figure out some of those things, to be sitting in a playoff position, what does that say about this group, Aaron?
I think that when you have a platform like that, when you start the season poorly and then you start to turn it around, you're sitting in a playoff spot, you feel hope. And especially when you start to see things working, you put some goals in the back of the net. Obviously, Abby Dahlkemper will be a big focus, but Rachel Kundananji, even though she didn't find the back of the net.
And you weren't all that high on her.
No, because when you spend that much money on a player, you have to see production, and you saw production in this match. She was really, really active. She was really bright, and that's what you want to see from a nearly $1 million player.
Are you bought in now?
I want to see more. I have to see more.
That's fair.
You got to fulfill that price tag.
Well, a team that I think everyone wants to see more from, including themselves, is the Portland Thorns right now, Christine, who they started the season poorly, which led to the change in naming Rob Gale as the interim. And so here's a look at where they were before that appointment.
Sweet man.
0-1-3 to then after 8-2-4, only 6 goals scored prior in those 4 games, to then 22 after. It looked like they were getting things on the right track, but now they're starting to slide again. What's going on?
You saw almost immediate production under Rob Gale. He literally turned this team around 180. Now, sustaining it is another story, right? Like, they started off so abysmally that it would be easy to incrementally, more in the immediate short term, fix a lot of things that you could. Now, long term, it's like, how do you sustain that success? Now, they've had a rough go, especially over the last 6 matches. I think it's just retinkering, figuring things out, because the way that the Olympics went, I feel like it was like an abbreviation where, like, coming back into regular season almost feels like a cold start again. But I'm certain that he'll figure it out. Plus, he's a gooner, so, you know.
Well, that right in and of itself should be the key. But, Dee, just 1 win in the last 6 regular season matches.
Brutal.
And it seems like this team relies almost too heavily on players like Sophia Smith, Sam Coffey. How do they find a little bit more balance?
It's strange because even during the Summer Cup and friendlies they didn't look bad. You saw some of the players, Paige Linehan, come in and be very effective. but they do rely on Sophia Smith to make something out of absolutely nothing. I think Kelly Hubley was defending for her life in this match, life and limb on the line to just stop some of these shots from Bay. But it's just not enough. It looks like there's not the same fire in Portland that we saw before, and I think that was also invigorated by having Rob Gale as the coach, who wanted to bring in fun and not take it so seriously, but be in those moments where in training you can replicate a game, and that's when it's intense. But outside of that, actually enjoy it. We're not seeing the players enjoy it anymore. The game plan seems like it's almost lost on them, and they just need a complete revamp in energy and how they're approaching matches.
You know, a team that is having some fun right now? Angel City. And they've looked more fun to watch. Yeah,
where are we going
Point to them.
Angel City coming off of a big win against Chicago. You've got Alyssa Thompson scoring again. She scored her first goals of the season in the last 2 games. She had a brace last week. Now 3 goals across 2 games, doing a nice job here of just being a fox in the box, making that run, following up at the back post to put that one away. And then who else but Sid LaRue to put the icing on the cake, the match winner in stoppage time. Christine, have Angel City found the ingredients they were missing to make a run here?
Well, let's not jump ahead of ourselves. It was the Red Stars who have not been in great form. However, it's great to see Alyssa Thompson find her stride. Also, the little nugget of hearing that like she's getting these tips and tricks from Kristen Press, which I don't think there's anyone else that you could possibly get better advice from. But yeah, I mean, Sid LaRue always pulls up when you need her. She's very good for those timely game winners. Not surprising. I think I need to see a bit more of them. But again, we only have, 9 more weeks?
I think Angel City makes the playoff push. I believe they were in my prediction when the season first started because of last year, how they know how to fight when it really counts. Yes, I think we're trying a lot of new things, trying formations. Tactically, we're really finding their groove. We're finally seeing it come together. Yes, it's Chicago, but with Alyssa Thompson now getting some goals as a forward, you just need one, and then your mindset and your confidence completely changes. Same with Sid LaRue. So I think they make the playoffs.
The mindset is a big one for me. I've called a few Angel City games this year, and on coach calls with Becky Tweed, I remember early on in the season when they were up against Washington and then completely fell apart, and the Spirit, I think, went on to win that game 4-2. The biggest takeaway Becky Tweed had from that game was the fact that she learned in talking with the team after that when things would go wrong, everyone's mind went in a different direction. And I think that through those moments of adversity, you figure out how to better come together, and what better time, Aaron, than right now during the final stretch of the season for Angel City
yeah,
to
they're getting last-minute winners. You see the way that team reacted at the goal to get the goal at the final whistle. The recent results have been, obviously, they won against in Chicago. They beat San Diego. They narrowly lost to Gotham, but drawing against San Diego again, beating Bay. These are results, especially at this time of the season when you're starting to gain momentum, you're starting to gain confidence, you're starting to figure out we can win. We have a group that can pull games out late, and you have gamers like Sid LaRue in your team. When you have these types of personalities, it gives you a lot of confidence. I think you may be right about this playoff run.
I'm right about something. It's not Sean Mayhouse of North Carolina. Angel City were in the same position last year.
Yeah.
So I think knowing that, having that mentality in the back of their heads, even when they go down in matches, is we've been here before, we can do this. And I think it attributes to your point of they're on the same page when things go wrong or when things were going right, how to finish a 90-minute match.
And right now, Angel City sitting in 9th place, but tied on points with Bay FC in that final 8th place playoff spot as we take a look at where the table stands after this hectic weekend of action in the NWSL. So here's a look at the top half. Orlando Pride, they remain in first and really starting to create some distance with that unbeaten streak set to 19 matches. Washington Spirit, they leapfrogged Kansas City after that big win against them last weekend. No movement there for KC. They remain in 3rd place. North Carolina Courage making some strides. Portland Thorns, as that is a tight little kind of position right there in those 5th and 6th place spots. And now taking a look at the bottom, Utah climbing out of the basement, and they are replaced by the Houston Dash, who have been on a downward slide to say the least. But you've got a lot of teams right there pushing for that 8th place spot. So it's going to be interesting to see how the top 4 finishes out, but even more so, what things look like come the final games of the season, as it's close. 21 points, 19, 17, 16, 15. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, I think this will be the more interesting chunk.
We are going to have some drama. And if there's one thing that the NWSL delivers, it is always that. Well, hey, we've got more to get into. Sandra Herrera is going to join us next to talk the transfer deadline. Next. Hey, welcome back to Attacking Third. Here's a look at the latest trades and signings out of the NWSL. Penelope Hocking makes the move from Chicago to the Bay in exchange for intra-league funds, and a lot of them. Speaking of Chicago, Rosella Ayan has signed with the Red Stars through the end of the season on a loan deal from Tottenham. Courtney Peterson is now a Racing Louisville player, as the Dash receive $45K in allocation money. And finally, Julia Grosso, the American Julia Grosso, has signed with Utah Royals through the end of the season on a loan deal from Melbourne City. And joining us now to talk more about these moves is our good pal, Sandra Herrera. Sandra, thanks for laboring on Labor Day with us here on Attacking Third. Let's talk about this Penelope Hocking move. It is a lot of money. So what are Bay getting and what are Chicago losing in this move?
I think there's maybe a little bit of a double blink kind of meme effect with this one. I think Penelope Hocking is a rated player with a high ceiling. This is a player who's a former first-round draft pick, RIP to the draft, who was on a few of the club's kind of mock boards out there to see where she fell. Eventually, she fell to the Chicago Red Stars, had a really productive collegiate career, but she's only been in the league navigating and managing a professional career for about a year and a half now, right? We're in the second half of this season, so she's navigating this sophomore season still. And across these 1.5 seasons, she's already got about 7 goals, a handful of assists. So there's a lot of promise there. So there's the vibe of like, okay, maybe they're trading away a little bit of their future here, and Bay FC are maybe really banking on the future potential of this player. And it's a little bit of an undertone of maybe trying to honor a player request to kind of be closer to home. Hocking, a California native, so getting back out there with a chance to maybe play in front of some family and friends, which we talk to multiple players across the league is something that's important to players. So maybe it's a wait and see effect on who's actually going to be the winner in this type of trade. But for now, in the immediate sense, it's got to be Chicago with all that money coming in.
Yeah, speaking of Chicago, they obviously are right now in playoff position, but they need to do a lot more to hang where they are. With that Hocking trade, they also brought in Rosella Ayan, and we are still awaiting a Ludmila appearance. How much of a change are those two pickups going to make for the Chicago Red Stars in this last final push for this playoffs for the season?
Again, the wait and see approach, right? They're running out of time, actually. It's 8 to 6 weeks, depending on when players arrive to the Chicago, going to be enough to actually make an impact for a playoff push, especially when they're kind of hitting a bit of a slump in form and not in a good time. But I think any type of additions, especially when you get major international experience in the mix, is going to be considered an automatic boost, especially in this case for the attack. Rosella Ayan coming over from Tottenham. I think they're very excited to get her into the mix. How she's going to fit will remain to be seen because it is on a loan. Is this going to be something where they try to see if it's a good fit and maybe work something out a little more extended in the future? Maybe a change of environment will be better for this player. And Lumina, I know they can't wait to get in. They're still waiting on the visa processes there. Cannot
wait to see Ludmila with the Red Stars. I think she's really going to help their attack that's now really still relying on Mal Swanson. But Sandra, who of these teams do you think really had the biggest and best transfer window? Who acquired the best players that are going to really help them make the rest of the season push? It's hard to tell because nearly every single club was active during this window, with the exception of really kind of one or two. And just when I thought they were sleeping and nothing really was going to happen, I thought Bay FC made a really smart move to get Abby Dahlkemper over onto their team. Maybe that's the type of player that's really going to shake things up for that roster and help them in their own playoff push moving forward.
All right, now, Sandra, who do you think should have done more in this trade window?
Chicago.
I think we got to take a look at Houston Dash and maybe still look at those questions that are lingering around the club at this time. Maybe it wasn't going to be in the form of multiple players coming in, but they definitely shipped some players out. Jordy Peterson looking for perhaps some more playing time out in this transfer window, but no answers still around their head coaching situation. Fran Alonso has been away from this team since June, and they fired their GM over the course of August, but haven't really been too public or transparent about what's the next steps there in terms of building out their front office roles and even maybe more players coming into the club.
So maybe more for Houston to figure out than just player acquisitions during that time. But Darian, as that question was asked to Sandra, you said Chicago.
Chicago.
I did. I'm thinking,
case.
They need a center back. Sam Staub is out for a long time, and Achilles, unfortunately, it's a really long recovery. The rehab can take a long time depending on how your body reacts to it. They need somebody back there to help with that defensive line.
Sandra?
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think maybe having the influx of attacking players kind of feels like, hey, look at all this flurry of activity that we went out and we made, but it's still a little bit of a head scratcher in the sense where it's like, okay, but there's some positions here that maybe you should try to flesh out. And obviously the center back position at Sam Staub is a huge one. Maybe they try to band-aid that a little bit by giving a 3-year deal to their rookie defender and Hannah Anderson, but I think when you're looking at the experiences of players at this point in NWSL, those are huge shoes to fill. That's a ton of responsibility to put on the shoulders of one of your rookies for the remainder of the season. So congrats on getting an extended deal. That's absolutely something to be celebrated. But I don't know if that's actually the solution to a now very big Sam Staub-sized hole in that back line.
Yeah, to say the least. Well, Sandra, we're going to wrap up the show with our highs and lows of the weekend. We opened the show talking about just how this weekend really had everything in the NWSL. What was your favorite moment from another chaotic NWSL showing?
You know what? I gotta say that it's still that middle of the pack type of teams, still just leaving us wanting more. Who would have thought that the 7th and 8th seed were going to be maybe some of the most exciting races that we were going to see this year? But of course, it's NWSL, so they're shame on us for not knowing it was going to be this chaotic at this point.
Of course, and we love it, and we love you, Sandra. Thanks for taking the time to join us on the show today. We'll see you on Thursday.
Enjoy your day.
Thanks. Have a great show, y'all.
All right, we will step aside for a quick break here on Attacking Third. When we come back, we are talking about the W Champions Cup. Stick with us. Hey, welcome back to Attacking Third, presented by CarMax. The way car buying should be. CONCACAF W Champions Cup group stage action coming up this week. Wednesday, Santa Fe FC taking on Vancouver Whitecaps. You can watch that one here on Golazo. And Portland Thorns Club America to close things out on Wednesday evening. Alajuelense, that's a fun one to say for me, as I wanted to make sure I didn't butcher that. Taking on Gotham Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, doing our best over here. And then Monterrey taking on Fraser's Whip at 10 p.m. Eastern on CBS Sports Network. Another fun one to say, that team representing the Jamaican contingent, as a spot in the FIFA Club World Cup is on the line in this CONCACAF W Champions Cup competition. And Darian, when we take a look at what this does for football and for women's football, like as a player, knowing that you had that opportunity in front of you, what would that have meant to you in the context of just
I would have
career?
Loved that. I think when I was playing, we had what was it called? It was pre-Challenge Cup. When I was with North Carolina, ICC, that's what it was. And that was incredibly exciting to me. I mean, at that stage of my career, playing against Lyon and these really big dogs that you aspire to play against just when you're a young girl, these players, it's incredible. So to think about the blend of this and also the opportunity this gives players to be seen by coaches and fans, be scouted, really show your stuff when you don't normally get the platform to against really high-level teams is really fun to see, and I cannot wait for this Club World Cup. It's gonna be crazy.
Especially with how much we've seen the women's game, especially over the last few years, really elevate and grow. And even looking at the NWSL, the influx of talent from countries that have never been represented before in the NWSL. This is just as good of an opportunity, Aaron, for players who are on teams in other countries to get to showcase their talents against NWSL teams.
Yeah, I think I sat on this desk like a year or so ago and was like, my wish would be to have a Club World Cup.
I remember that.
And we have it, and that's so exciting. The way that this game is exploded in growth, we're seeing players, world-class players coming from all around the globe. The game itself is growing, and competitions like this only serve to help grow it even further. It's amazing to me.
So how do you think, Christine, teams are approaching this? Because midweek action is never an easy thing, and we haven't seen a lot of midweek fixtures this season in the NWSL.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you think about it, this tournament starts at like a really important part of regular season play for these teams. Some of them not in the greatest form, like Portland, who are kind of struggling to steady themselves. But also Portland and Gotham going into this week, they had a bye week in first. So this is their first matches that they have to integrate. So I think that it's a great thing that there is now the option of multiple tournaments at the same time. But I think it's going to be a matter of getting acclimatized to not having this singular focus of Shield or winning the league, at the same time. I think they're going to have to explore their depth and see what they can actually manage and just change their approach a little bit. But I think it's going to be interesting nevertheless. It's fun.
Okay, based on the matchups, Darian, who do you think has the best chance at getting a win this week? Because Club America's kind of been struggling a bit in the Liga MX Femenil. But
my team would be Portland. Portland's not a team that I think is used to losing. They're going to change around a lot. I think they're going to need a huge mental shift going into this match, and they're going to want to overcome that loss that they just had against Bay. So this is the time to experiment, to try something new, maybe tactically switch something up, work on some different set pieces where you can try to take advantage of a team like Club America, but also bring it into your next match in the NWSL.
All right, Aaron, what do you think? What about for Gotham?
I think that this is going to be a match, like Christine Cupo said, that there will be some rotation, a good amount of rotation. This is both a challenge for managers to manage their squads, but it's also an opportunity to get some playing time for some players that maybe don't get to see as much time in the regular season. There's big, deep squad, especially for this Gotham squad. So I think it's both a challenge because there's a quick turnaround over the weekend, but a chance for a lot of these players to show themselves.
Okay, score predictions for the NWSL contingent. Gotham, what do you think?
3-0.
3-0, okay.
Yeah.
That's stingy defense. I agree. Yeah.
3-0? Mm-hmm. Have Gotham put up 3 goals in a game?
Just to be wild. Because I feel like these two teams have also played in Summer Cup, but without their Olympians. Granted, that's not accounting for what rotation could be, but I think that they at least have more options in this competition.
Okay, so
let's go crazy.
Why not? Hey, Gotham has put up 3 goals in a game in the regular season. So we'll see. What about for Portland? What do you think? Score there.
I'm going to say 3-0 as well. Actually, I'll say 3-1. Club America has some really good forwards. Palacios is a really dynamic forward for me who loves to score against NWSL teams. So I'll say 3-1 Portland.
I'm going to go 2-1 Portland.
Okay, closer.
I'm stick 3-1.
Aaron just wants to twin me today.
Cute.
Is that what the kids do?
You're so young.
This is adorable. I love this. Okay, this is maybe my favorite segment coming up. We are going to do our highs and lows of the weekend, and there are some good ones. So stick with us. We're going to break those down for you next. Welcome back to Attacking Third, wrapping things up on this lovely Monday. And what better way to do it than giving our highs and lows of the weekend? We're going to start on the low side because we're going to start low. Okay. Won't do that again. Clip it.
We're just jumping octaves here.
Hey, Wes is back.
I will say my voice sounded better there than the trash music video that Aaron made us all watch before we did the show.
I'm
not even going to promote it.
Purposes, you needed to see it.
Not even going to promote it.
You needed to see it for cultural purposes.
We'll never get that time back in my life. Speaking of time, Darian, your low of the weekend.
My low is the amount of extra and added time to every single NWSL match. At halftime, post-match, we had a total of 142 minutes
crazy
over the weekend.
That's crazy.
That is a lot of extra football. That is a lot of extra minutes on these players' legs. I mean, this is going to be interesting to see at the end of the season how these minutes add up for each team.
And if you're wondering just how much that time, like, okay, that's a lot of minutes, but like, what is that? Put it in context. Well, here you go. These are films that run for about the same amount of time that we had in stoppage time this weekend in the NWSL. Any favorite movies on there? I mean,
Goodfellas.
So good.
My favorite movie.
Prisoner of Azkaban.
Goodfellas easily.
Good one. Goodfellas is fantastic.
I was saying we need to do like a Photoshop
Someone
of the
says
movie
The Shining.
posters and make an NWSL themed. Forrest Gump. Run, Forrest,
Run.
Forrest.
I mean, yeah, that's
Run,
the same
Shawinga.
vibes those players had. 2
Run,
hours and
Shawinga.
22 minutes of running.
Oh, man. Well, that leads me to mine, which was the rain delays. So it's kind of in the same vein, but it was, why is it, I don't understand this. Why is it that whenever big CBS, we got NWSL action on, it's like, rain delay.
Smash that rain delay button.
Rephrase, weather delay.
Weather delay.
Fair.
Yeah, because it's not just the rain, it's all the other stuff. But that was mine.
All those other things, like
All
the
those
golf ball hails that were just hailing from the sky.
I've never heard rain through a broadcast so loud like that North Carolina Kansas City game. So that was
ASMR.
whack. Okay, Cupo, what about you? What's your low?
My low is Chicago Red Stars, poor form. Like, they're sitting right now in playoff contention, but they're going to let that slip right through their fingers if they don't make some adjustments ASAP. And it needs to be more than just Mel Swanson doing double duty to get this team just to steady the ship.
But if anyone
so,
could,
yeah,
it would be
I
Mel.
mean, absolutely. But yeah, this performance, not great. Hoping to see a major impact from new signings and trades immediately.
All right, Aaron, Shorty, get low.
Mine is one of the worst own goals you'll see.
Truly horrible.
Kristen McNabb getting the ball smashed off her face. Nothing she can do about it. Thankfully, there is a positive to it. I'm an optimist, so she did score the other goal. What did you call it? A backwards brace?
A backwards brace.
Backwards brace. I think we should call, if you score 2 own goals, that should be an upside down brace, just for the future. But I mean, come on. The most unfortunate of own goals possible. You get rocked in the face. You see it in the back of your own net.
And
It's
then
just,
everyone's body language after is like, what the hell?
Kaylin Sheridan's like, come on. Are we
No one
really
even
serious?
goes over to McNabb.
She's like, are you serious?
Like, you can
That's
pick
how we're going to
yourself up. We're
concede.
good.
That's how
Yeah,
we're going to
it's brutal.
concede. It's tough, yeah.
But also shout out to Kristen McNabb. I played with
turning
her
it
at
around,
Rugby
yeah.
for turning it around and not
Yeah,
letting
yeah.
that affect the
Yeah.
rest of the game.
Gotta love it.
That could
Oh, yeah, I would have been already locked in my mental hell loop, so praise her for that.
Yeah, hard to come back from something like
But
that.
she did.
But she did. My high, now that we're moving over to the positives, is, okay, Kansas City, they're in a moment right now. It's not good. 3 straight losses in league play. But Shawinga is still inevitable.
She's good.
She's really good.
pretty
She's
good.
leading the Golden Boot race, 14 league goals, and has now scored an NWSL record in 7 consecutive games. I mean, this player is so fun to watch. Also, I mean, maybe got a little help from the slick conditions there. That one just slid right back in. But we're running out of adjectives to describe what it is like as an experience to watch Temwa Shawinga play. And whatever success Kansas City has this season, the rest of the way, is going to largely involve Temwa Shawinga, even though they have a lot of players who have contributed this season. Aaron, you're next.
Going for the highs? All right. Sid LaRue's last-minute winner. The
Great
goal
shout.
itself,
Stunning.
and then the celebration with the kids, Cassius and Rue. I love anything that involves celebrating with your kids. I love the effort for this goal. I really, really like how Angel City is kind of turning it around, making that late playoff push. Shout out to Darian. But yes, anytime you score a winner and get to celebrate with your kids, it's just a double dub for me.
Oh,
Look at it. You gotta love it.
such dad energy.
Gotta love it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, full dad.
I
Full dad
love
energy
these
for
are
me.
adorable.
I love that they have mommy on the back of
Yeah,
their
it's amazing.
jerseys. So cute.
Yeah, that's goals.
Also, her kids just are.
They
They're
have
so
incredible personality.
Incredible
So much
personality.
They got her personality.
Anytime they get airtime, it is just so fun.
I love that they're like in Nike commercials too, because it's like, oh, that's perfect. Why wouldn't
Of course.
they be? They should.
They have to be. All right, Cupo, you're high.
My high. Well, Darian, do you want to get one more apology at the Sean Nahas before I?
No,
You're good
it's
now?
been enough. It's overkill. I texted him. He's gonna watch.
He's good. He's good now.
I'll go back to
So
hating.
my
him.
high, Brianna Pinto for the game winner, her second goal of the season, coincidentally her second game-winning goal.
Heels.
You know,
UCLA.
between UCLA and North
I get you.
Carolina.
Aaron was whipping out Southern accents on us today. It's been a weird one.
But yeah, absolutely beautiful, like clinical, the ideal throw-in turn, just like boot it. Beautiful job, Pinto. Love to see that. And also handing Kansas City their third consecutive L, which for the season that North Carolina have had, snapping their goalless streak over 2 matches, like, let's go, momentum, moving forward, onward and upward.
Aaron, why did you just look at me when she said that?
Because you're from Kansas City, aren't you? I was waiting for the retort.
I was like,
you gonna take
7 years. I'm like, pew, pew.
At my heart, I am an instigator. I was like, you gonna sit here and take that?
I can accept defeat. It's just a moment. Just a moment. We're being partial here. Darian, you're gonna close us out with your high of the weekend.
Let's do it. Seattle getting their first road win, which is wild to say because Seattle, like, we always expect so much more. This is a team that's always in playoffs, is in Shield contention, is in the final most years. Like, it's crazy to think they haven't won on the road, but finally against Louisville. And this was an exciting game. I won't lie. I was covering this in the studio over the weekend. I wasn't sure this was either going to be a very sleepy game or crazy exciting. I'm so happy it was crazy exciting, and big shout out to G because she led the team. Came in with that set piece free kick. Beautiful finish.
Any weekend where there's not a scoreless draw is a win in my book.
It's either there's a ton of crazy goals or everybody draws.
True.
Yeah.
Although we haven't had many draws recently. It's just been chaotic.
Yeah.
Well, this was a fun one, and it just sets up for what is going to be an even more fun push towards the end of the season. And this has been a fun show. Thanks for having me on, you guys.
Welcome.
I know we miss Lisa, but it's always fun hanging out with the A3 crew. Hey, I do my best. We got a little off the rails on a couple of moments, but that's okay. This has been the Attacking Third Monday edition of the show, presented by CarMax, the way car buying should be.